Yes. The long-standing rivalry between Nigeria and South Africa, two of Africa's powerhouses, took a new turn when South Africans forced former Miss South Africa pageant contestant Chidinma Adetshina, a Nigerian by birth, to quit after backlash and xenophobic attacks. And days after this, South Africans began a digital war through the request in Nigeria, where South Africans booked boat rides and cancelled once the driver arrived destination. This was to frustrate and cause financial loss for Nigerian drivers. Trust Nigerians. They reciprocated the gesture and even went beyond booking boat rides. But those two events were not the first of such rivalry. We all recall Amapiano versus Afrobeats battle, World Cup face-off, the Israel versus Du Plessis MMA bout, to mention a few, and the xenophobic attacks of about 4 years ago, which led to the evacuation of Nigerian citizens in South Africa. The question now is, what led to the strained relationship? Bearing in mind that Nigeria and Nigerians rallied round South Africa during the apartheid era, I have an international analyst from the University of Witwatersrand, South Africa, MICHEAL OLUWATOSIN BODURIN, to shed light on the topic Nigeria-South Africa relations. I am Mojisola Shulaja saying welcome to this week's edition of International Affairs of International Desk. Good morning, MICHEAL. Good morning, MICHEAL.
Good morning, Mojisola. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Oh, yes. Okay, it's good afternoon in South Africa, isn't it?
It's 12:04. We just 1 hour ahead.
Oh, yes.
So it's good afternoon.
So, how is South Africa today?
Yeah, peaceful, calm, and everybody doing by their businesses, and I think things are fine. Yeah.
Okay, we want to talk about the strained relationship between Nigeria and South Africa. You heard my intro, Amapiano's Afrobeat, the World Cup, the MMA bout, and all that. And the most recent one, the boat ride battle. So what can you say about the strained relationship? What led to it?
Okay, yeah, well, let me just put a disclaimer here that it's more or less, everything that I say is basically based on my own
oh, sure.
opinion.
Sure, yes.
And based on the evidence that I have at hand at the moment. So I think that the strained relationship is being caused by the passion that the citizens of both countries have for their country. We would recall that Nigeria was a really big brother to South Africa during the apartheid regime. But again, South Africa has also been of huge blessing to Nigeria. I mean, in more recent years, that is post-apartheid. Yes, there are issues around xenophobic attacks, which I think we would talk about later on, but they challenges. So at least it gives us the opportunity to express our freedom. That's freedom of speech, and we're all entitled to our opinion. And of course, we could do a lot of things and get away with it on social media, which sometimes maybe a little bit of control. I don't know how that can be done. But I think the main cause of the strained relationship is just the fact that both countries are the strongest economies in Africa, and we've been competing in recent times. Sometimes South Africa is first, the other time Nigeria is first, and I think I need to correct that. In Sub-Saharan Africa, basically, And both citizens are passionate about their country. Lots of Nigerians living here love South Africa. They don't even want to go back home just to visit, but they are very passionate about Nigeria. Nigerians in Nigeria, despite the fact challenges, are passionate about Nigeria as well. So whenever we find ourselves in a space where we have to compete about anything, be it music, sports, and all that, you see that rush, you see that passion evolve, and it would always start with a banter on social media, and then from that, if it's not quickly controlled, then it leads to some of the bad things that we experience, and it's quite unfortunate because these are two countries that should really work together with Ethiopia and Kenya to really put Africa on the map and where it belongs in the communities of continent in the world. But unfortunately, it's not like that because we're too passionate, and there is no healthy competition between the citizens of both countries. And I think this is even much more given room by the fact that you can get away with anything you do on social media. And maybe the conversations around social media should be something that we should all put into consideration, because it does not only affect Africa, it affects other parts of the world as well. So it's all about the passion. I remember when Nigeria was playing South Africa during the Nations Cup. I mean, we Nigerians here were warned to be careful where we watch the games, but the government was quite responsive to issue a statement that Nigerians in South Africa would be protected and we're free to watch anywhere. And it was a very, very interesting outcome. We won, and we took it like that. Israel Adesanya lost to South Africa. And we also accepted it in good faith. But that wouldn't stop social media. Chidima's case, it's an unfortunate situation, and that shouldn't be happening in Africa. I'm not happy how the lady was treated, because she's only one country as her country, and that's actually South Africa. And for her to be rejected was really quite bad. And the idea of, the boat situation is also something that to be, trust Nigeria, because we're passionate about our country. We always try to fight back. Not only with South Africa, it also happens with Ghana, occasionally, or even Senegal. I remember the issue of jollof rice. So I think I've given a long-winded answer, but I think the root cause is just both countries expressing their passion about their countries. But I really think we need to work together.
So to you,
as a continent, both countries need to work together. Yeah.
So to you, it's more of competition. I thought it should be more of collaboration, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes, exactly. It should be more of a collaboration, and I think that this is where the government needs to come in. There's really something missing both in Nigeria and South Africa. Orientation. I mean, I remember where we used to have that woman. She's late now. She was more into rebranding Nigeria, and I mean, she actually promoted reorientating our people. Yes, and that's an important part of government that we cannot do without. And I think that is also missing in South Africa, because there are narratives that are not necessarily true, that trickles down generation that needs to be corrected, and this way younger generations can collaborate rather than get involved in unhealthy competition. But I must say to you, from my own personal experience, a lot of South Africans respect Nigerians, even when there are xenophobic attacks. Sometimes forget about some things you see online. Most of the times Nigerians are least affected amongst the community of nations that are living in South Africa. So they respect us, and we there are areas of strength where we really collaborate well, and this should be the shining example that both governments needs to work on and show to the citizens, and then that would help us put Africa where it belongs, basically, on the global stage.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, you said the government needs to do a lot, you know. I recall during the time of Obasanjo and Mbappe, I've forgotten, not Mbappe, I've forgotten the name now, of the former president. There was cordial relationship.
Is the Thabo Mbeki?
Thabo Mbeki, yeah, thank you, Mbeki.
Do you mean President Thabo Mbeki?
Yes. Nigeria, South Africa had a cordial relationship. It's called in Nigeria.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
Let me hear from you.
So I think I lost you for a second or so. But if I get you correctly, you're saying during the time of Obasanjo as president and Thabo Mbeki, that was quite a cordial relationship between Nigeria and South Africa. Absolutely, yes. But don't forget that the time. But let me tell you one thing that is really unique about Obasanjo and Thabo Mbeki. These two guys are Pan-Africanists, and they believe in the African project. I think that the leaders that we have today also believe more in the African project, but COVID-19 wasn't as strong as it is today, so there needs to be some form of think tank committee organization set up between both countries, or maybe within the African Union space, to actually come up with ways of addressing issues that result to conflict amongst nations within Africa. So, and also we should consider ourselves African first before these boundaries that we set amongst ourselves. I used to say when I did my PhD here, I listened to a PhD thesis presentation by one guy from the School of Humanities, and he said the definition of a country is when people from different nationalities just come together, be it at a pub or in an intellectual space, and the issues that I've traveled a bit within sub-Saharan in common, and this is what we should project. I think that the current leaders of both countries to reconsider the orientation program of Baba Obasanjo. Obasanjo is still very popular here, probably the most popular president Nigeria would ever have in Africa. We don't know what would happen in future, but at least today. And Tap is also very, very popular. I've had the opportunity to listen to him, in person. He organized talks and all that, and he's still working on, Pan-Africanism, how we can be one Africa. And this is something that has really depleted in recent times, especially in the last 5 to 7 years. And if we can bring that discourse back on the continent, I think the relationship between Nigeria and South Africa would improve. And once that improves, the relationship between African nations would improve, because all sub-Saharan African countries are looking forward to Nigeria and South Africa to set the right example.
Okay, thank you, Michael. We'll want to take a quick break now. It's just for about a few seconds. We'll be back. So let's go on a short break. International Desk will be back. Welcome back. You're still watching International Desk live from our studios in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. And I still have my guest from South Africa, MICHEAL BODURIN from the University of Switzerland. And we're talking about Nigeria-South Africa relations. He has told us his own views about the relations, how strained, and he told us it should be more of collaboration and not competition. Now the question is, MICHEAL, we're back. So the next question is, yes, some people are of the view that xenophobic attacks can be stopped, but not xenophobia. How true is this?
I think I agree with it to a large extent. I've had several conversations with people both within Africa and outside of Africa when I have the opportunity to visit other countries. And my position has always been tribalism, xenophobia, racism, and all that. They all have one root cause, and the root cause is you feeling superior to the other person, and I mean, they all have one thing in common: you feel superior to the other person. And I think that we cannot say that as human beings we can remove that, because even within Nigeria, even within the Yoruba tribe, some tribe feels they are more Yoruba than the other. Within Ogun State in itself, some feel like they are more from Ogun State than the other, and we have, and based on that, it's really difficult to say you're going to stop xenophobia. It's not going to stop, but xenophobic attacks can be stopped. The long way or the long-term solution would be the reorientation program that I mentioned, because that gives us a national agenda, and if we can have that across all African countries, I think we have African Union can help with that. At the SADC, what's this West African organization called? The one President Tinubu is in charge currently, can also help with that, basically. So xenophobic attack can be stopped, I think, but xenophobia, it's really difficult because the way politics plays out everywhere in the world, I wouldn't say even in Africa alone. I mean, the easiest people to blame when there is an economic challenge is the foreigner. And you, if I remind you of this famous Ghana must go back that we so proudly carry these days, because it's lightweighted and we can put our foods in there and travel out easily. The Ghana must go was as a result of a xenophobic attack. It was as a result of xenophobia from Nigerians to Ghanaians. But we didn't start first. Ghana actually, you can fact check me, Ghana actually was the first to send Nigerians away from Ghana. I think about, I wasn't sure of the year, maybe 1963 or something or thereabout. So they were the one who first did that, and that was xenophobia. And it also happened in Nigeria when there was oil boom. Many Ghanaians were in Nigeria teaching. I remember having, maths teacher, Mr. Akwan, who was a Ghanaian, and in my primary school and all that. But unfortunately, these guys have to leave when there was economic issues, because we blame the foreign. The politician felt it was the foreigners. The same thing is happening in South Africa. Whenever there's a challenge, the foreigners are the first to blame. So that's xenophobia. And the same is true for racism, it's true for tribalism and all that. One feels superior, and it's easier to blame someone who is inferior in that context for the reasons they have issues. For example, in the UK recently, I see they start blaming foreigners for the challenges they're having, and we saw that is also happening even in the United States. So I think that I agree with that maybe we can stop xenophobia, but xenophobic attack can really be controlled, and that's why we have the security agencies to at least maintain peace and order and make sure that lawlessness is not permitted in our society. But in terms of long-term solution, I think we need to keep talking, engaging with each other, reorientating ourselves, see ourselves as brothers and sisters, look at the strength. I mean, Nigeria's greatest export is not crude oil, it's the human resources. Every country you go in the world, you'll find Nigerians, and they're doing excellently well. And these people cannot be accommodated by Nigeria alone. We don't have the jobs for them. So Nigerians are really doing well in South Africa. So we are exporting our human resources there. And South Africa also needs the investment to thrive in Nigeria, otherwise they will be poor. We are one of the largest contributors to the economy because they have MTN and other investments in Nigeria. So to stop xenophobia would be really would be a daunting task for real, but I think that the attacks can be controlled.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Now let's, on a final note now, since you're back, let's talk about your experience and now link it to not hostility in South Africa now, but the ease of doing business in South Africa, based on your own experience. How many years have you been in South Africa now?
Okay, I've been here for 10 years. I've experienced about 3 major xenophobic cases. None of them has affected me. I think this affects basically mostly in areas that where people really, I mean, I'm in the academic space, so I think things are much more controlled there. You have intellectual discourse in these spaces. But when you go to maybe less developed areas and the townships, and that's where you would, foreign nationals will experience this hostility. I mean, and I think there has been about 3 occurrences, 3 cases throughout my 10 years here. For me, I think that can really be controlled. But generally, if you ask most foreigners, especially Nigerians, who are living here, they prefer to stay in South Africa than in Nigeria because the economic situation here is much more better than it is at home. But there are challenges, of course, like for example, visa challenges. Many foreign nationals are now illegal, not because they want to be illegal, because maybe sometimes the foreign affairs policies of South Africa is sometimes not suitable for all foreign nationals, especially those of African descent. But I think recently they're trying to work on that and improve that to what it used to be before 2019, because this changed really in 2019. South Africa has given a lot of Nigerians opportunities, and I'm one of them. I mean, if I used to be a lecturer in Nigeria, the height that I have attained currently wouldn't have been possible if I stayed in Nigeria. And that's the basic truth, because in terms of size and technology, South Africa is far ahead of Nigeria, and they provide you with funding and opportunities to collaborate with other parts of the world. That's extremely limited in Nigeria. Yet we have the talent, but the platform is not there for people to express their talent as much as they would. But in South Africa, you have that opportunity. And when people talk about xenophobia, yeah, it's there, but you also look at the benefits that many people get. So for me, it's been good so far. I mean, the research that I've been doing in the last 10 years can compete anywhere in the world with anyone. So, but it wouldn't have been possible in Nigeria. And because I'm here, many of my former students in Nigeria are coming here as well to study, and they're doing well. And most of them are moving from here to the United States, to the United Kingdom, Germany, and all that. And they are all giving back to Nigeria anyway. Okay. So let's try and control the narrative. There are good sides and there are bad sides. But sometimes the way things are painted on social media is not actually the true reflection of what's happening. But the Chidinma's case, it's really a slap on South Africa, and I think they can do better.
Yes, talking about the Chidinma case, it was later on said that she had fake documents but let's not go to we cannot go into that now, and drug-related issues due to time constraints.
Yeah. You're right, but I can say something about that. The child was not the culprit. I didn't follow that case closely, but I know she was born here, and she's only known this country as a country. I think that should have at least given her the opportunity to compete. If her name was not Shidima, if her name was like my daughter's name, Intabeseng, because I give her one of her names is a South African name, and she had competed with Intabeseng, they might not have actually picked that up. Anyway, but I think we should be our brother's keeper. These kind of things don't really happen in Europe and America, and I think we need to change.
All right, thank you so much,
Africans.
Michael.
Thanks.
We should be our brother's keepers. Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. That's quite interesting having a chat with you on the topic, Nigeria-South Africa relations. Yeah. So do enjoy the rest of the day, Michael.
All right, thank you so much, Moji.
All right, bye. Yes, that was Michael OLUWATOSIN, BODURIN from South Africa, and he talked passionately. He actually said behind the camera then that it shouldn't be about sentiments, we should just be realistic and look at the positive sides. He has gained a lot from South Africa. Other Nigerians too are. Some South Africans in Nigeria are also excelling in their businesses. So it should be more of collaboration and not competition. We have come to the end of International Desk for this week. Stay tuned to the People's Daily.